is a little bit different. As we've mentioned in the past, we like to cover a variety of motorsports. And today we go into Upper New York State for the world's biggest and richest super modified race. You know, this one has more action than a go-go dancer on a trampoline. And our road test special this week matches it. We're going to rip up rules governing a super modified race car, very few compared to the many other type vehicles in auto racing. And for this very reason, they've been referred to in some circles as outlaws. It's probably the roughest, toughest form of racing in the country. You see, they're small, light, and virtually unlimited as to power. And because they tax a driver's ability to the maximum, supermods have become an excellent training grounds and have launched some of our finest champions. Well, the largest gathering of supers takes place once a year at Oswego Speedway. This year, when we heard they were going to dangle $30,000 in front of a starting field of 40 cars, well, we grabbed our gear and took off. Super modifieds have been a steady diet of Midwest race fans for many years now. Many of the top drivers in the USAC Championship circuit started in these cars. They're built from the ground up and average about 1,400 pounds. Tremendous horsepower is derived from Chevy, Ford, and Buick engines, modified to the maximum. And this international classic draws the finest in the country. Drivers don their helmets and suit up as all cars are pushed onto the track. Todd Gibson, the Ohio speedster, had fast time and starts on the pole. Johnny Benson, the 1966 winner, in the second spot. In the second row, it's Kenny Andrews, number 55, and Gordy Dukes in car number 1. In the fifth slot, Jim Gressley in number 7. Joe Haluka, number 64, starts alongside. Then Jack Greedy and Andy Brown. This field represents the action kings of super modified racing. All drivers are eager and tensions build as the push trucks move up to get these cars started and the race underway. The drivers bring their cars to the two abreast starting position and pass in front of the grandstand in parade lap. Through the fourth turn, the pace car drops down low, and all 40 of these 8-fisted V8 powerhouses shatter the air as the green flag snaps down and they're off. As all cars move through the fourth turn to complete their first lap, it's Gibson with the lead, Benson running second with Kenny Andrews in the third slot. This entire field is jockeying for position, and it's wild. Gordy Dukes slashes his way through Benson and Andrews to move up and take the second spot, right behind Todd Gibson. The money is on the line, and these boys are after it. Jim Gressley is fifth with Joe Haluka sixth. These cars are running hard and close on every corner of the racetrack. A wild one in 3. Ronnie Wallace draws the yellow flag as he tangled with another car in the third turn, went airborne and ended up on his head. Another driver stops his car, leaps out, and runs over to help the unconscious Wallace out of the car. This race was only 7 laps old when Ronnie flipped his number 90, but as we mentioned before, the action out there was about as fast and furious as we've ever seen it. Just as they get him clear of the car, the ambulance crews are on the scene. These boys are quick whenever there's trouble on the track. He's still stunned, but he's all right as they get him up on his feet and walk him back to the pit area. Ronnie Wallace is a veteran of super modified racing. He hails from Fulton, New York, and has been running here at Oswego since 1958. However, he'll be a spectator for the rest of this race. The pace car continues to lead the field around single file under the caution flag. The first 5 positions are held by Gibson, Andrews, Haluka, Johnny Benson, and Andy Brown. Jack Thomas's number 27 was also involved in the accident, and it's the last car to be towed off. With the track clear, the green is out once again, and Gibson pounds into the first turn with the entire pack snarling right down his pipes. The yellow flag was out for a total of 12 laps on that last accident, but they're making up the time right now. Joe Haluka, the boy from Toronto, Ontario, has just slipped into the second spot, and Johnny Benson has moved up into third. On the 32nd lap, Kenny Andrews in number 55 spun out and went into the pits. He comes back now, but a few laps down. Uh-oh, here's another one. Neil Tooley in the yellow number 59 blew an engine in the first turn, lost it, and spun into the wall. Then Todd Gibson and Joe Haluka, driving the two lead cars, hit the oil and spun in on top of him. Gibson ruptured his fuel tank and spewed alcohol all over the track. But all three drivers are out of their cars and all right. With all that fuel and oil in the first turn, the officials are forced to throw the red flag, and all cars are brought to a halt in front of the grandstand. This gives some of the drivers who were forced into the pits earlier a chance to work on their cars and get back in the race. After the track is cleaned and Gibson's car towed off, the race is restarted. Now it's Johnny Benson in the lead with Andy Brown running second. Benson has that Chevy all wound out, but he can't run away from that pack. Johnny Logan, the boy from Charlotte, Michigan, moves up and is now running 8th. Joe Haluka, who was involved in the accident with Todd Gibson, is back in the race, but he's one lap out. Wayne Landon came into the first turn a little too high, lost it, and flew up against the retaining wall. This draws another caution flag while the wrecker crews get out on the track and tow him into the pit area. All cars slow down and hold their position behind the pace car. Meanwhile, some of the cars take this opportunity to pit. It's the 88th lap now as all cars round out of the fourth turn, and Clyde Rowley drops the green flag for the restart. Red Barnhart has the lead with Bentley Warren right on his back. Down the back chute into the third pocket. Warren Cunningham moves up the hard way on the outside. There goes Andrews. He cramped it a little too hard between the first and second turn. He spun it, then saved it. Jockeys the car around and goes back in the race. Barnhart and Warren are still running a tight 1 and 2, but now Johnny Logan has moved up to third. Watch it in the third turn. Lou Mall in car number 17 came through the turn too high, hit something on the track, and took a spinner right up to the wall. He's all right, and there's no damage to the car, so he gets a push and goes back in the race. Lap for lap, super modified racing is probably the toughest grind in motorsports. These boys ask no quarter nor give any. And with a $30,000 purse up for grabs, it's a fight right down to the wire. Neil Tooley gets the wheel on the inside of Norm McElreath and pushes hard. A little too hard. He lost it coming out of 4 and broadslides all the way down the front chute, and with a ton of traffic coming right down on him. He's all right as all cars fan around him. Those drivers have the greatest kind of reflexes. I just wonder what he was thinking of while sitting in the middle of the track watching that whole pack head for him. That car number 91, driven by Johnny Benson, has been running poorly for about the last 20 laps, so he heads into the pits to put it back on the trailer. With the race underway once again, Logan and Warren are trying hard to take the lead away from Red Barnhart. These cars are very evenly matched. Into turn one, Joe Haluka passes Barnhart. This puts him in the same lap with the leaders. He's been one lap out ever since that tangle with Tooley and Gibson. Car number 50, Noli Johncock, slashes through on the inside of McAreath to take fourth. And Nolan Swift, who has been pacing himself very well, has just moved into the 6th position. The crowd goes wild as Swift and Johncock both move to the front of the pack. As they pound through the 4th turn, Johncock slides into 2nd, and Swift takes the lead on the outside. So far, Swift has driven an almost perfect race. He started in the 35th position. Now he has that 10-pin special in the lead, and he's flying. Down the front chute, Johnny Logan tries the inside of Warren, but can't quite make it. Swift has that 10-pin handling beautifully out in front, and he can pick his groove anywhere on the racetrack. The traffic is tight in the corners. Look out! Joe Haluka in car number 64 started that one. When he lost it and started to spin, Jim Gressley in number 7 moved to the high side to avoid him. In doing so, he locked up with Jackie Lindhout in car number 60, and all 3 cars went wild. As Lindhout and Gressley try to get untangled, Joe Haluka, the Canadian quickie, looks a little bit disturbed. On the restart, and with only a few laps left in the race, Noli Swift heads for the jackpot. On the 190th lap, Johncock pitted with clutch trouble. Now it's Bentley Warren second with Logan third. Swift flies under the white flag. One more lap, and it's all over. There it is, the checkered flag, and Nolan Swift wins his 4th International Classic. 200 laps and a little over 100 miles. And in super modified racing, that's a tough grind no matter how you slice it.